Members, it's the appointed time. We have a quorum. I call the meeting to order. Item number 1. Information papers issued since the last meeting. Several papers were issued. I believe members have received them. And then we move on to item 2, items for discussion at the next meeting. The next meeting will take place on April 9th, that's Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. There are 3 items for discussion: integrated development of culture, sport, and tourism, preparation of Hong Kong athletes for Paris 2024 Olympic Games and Paralympic Games, and promotion of youth innovation and entrepreneurship in Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area. 3 items in total. If there are no queries, we will discuss those 3 items at the next meeting. All good? We move on to item 3, Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme. That's CB bracket 2320/2024 bracket 03. Sorry, I didn't catch what you were saying. The devices aren't booted up yet. All good? All good? It's a technical issue. The paper CB bracket 2320/2024 bracket 03. The officials have joined us. Mr. Clarence Leung, Undersecretary for Home Affairs and Youth Affairs, and also Mrs. Alice Chung, Director of Home Affairs. Can we get the officials to walk us through the paper first? Undersecretary, please. Good afternoon, members. We're here to brief members on a scheme to be rolled out, and that is the Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme. Klansman associations have been steadfast patriots since 1997. Klansman associations have seen rapid development due to their geographical background and vast social networks. They have been able to bring together people who love the country, love Hong Kong, and love their hometowns. Klansman bodies have helped achieve many goals such as social cohesion and supporting the government's work. Klansman associations have been a constructive force in driving Hong Kong's development and reliable and staunch partners of the HKSL government. The 2023 policy address proposes the Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme. It's a 3-year scheme. It will set aside $30 million for application from Klansman associations. The focus will be on hometown-related activities to promote the spirit of love for Hong Kong, China, and the hometown. At the end of this month, the Home Affairs Department will launch this Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme. In each of the next 3 financial years, $10 million will be set aside for application from local Klansman associations. These associations need to be locally registered, of good reputation and track record, and committed to promoting hometown culture and also promoting the love for the motherland, Hong Kong, and hometowns. The groups also have to have experience in organizing events. There are no restrictions on the form of the activities. The events have to be in line with the objectives of the scheme, and those objectives are promoting hometown culture, deepening the public's understanding and sense of belonging to their hometowns, and fostering love for the motherland, Hong Kong, and hometown. For each event, the funding is up to $200,000. For funding applications that exceed the cap, we will look at each case on a case-by-case basis and on a discretionary basis. We want to help different Klansman organizations organize different activities of different scales. At the beginning of each financial year, the HAD will start receiving applications. That is, starting from April, the application will open for a month. If there's leftover from the $10 million for each year, there will be a second round of applications to make the best use of the money to ensure proper use of public money. We will follow the general financial arrangement. The criteria and other details are set out in the paper. Starting from April 1st, the HAD will start receiving applications for the scheme for the financial year 2024 to 25. This year, we will hold a briefing session for clansmen associations. There will be a dedicated platform for interested clansmen associations to get in touch with us, and we will also give appropriate support with the applications. The current term government attaches importance to the role played by clansmen associations. We will continue to step up collaboration with clansmen associations. We hope members will support this promotion scheme so that clansmen associations can leverage their network of fellow clansmen and promote love for Hong Kong, our country, and their hometowns. Thank you, Undersecretary. We now open the floor to members. Members who wish to speak, please press the request to speak button. 9 members are lining up to speak. I will read out their names: Mr. Kenneth Leung, Ms. Connie Lam, Mr. Benson Lok, Professor James Lau, Mr. Brave Chen, Ms. Nixie Lam, Mr. Rock Chen, Ms. Jovi Chen, and followed by me. That's 9 members in total. 4 minutes for each member, questions and answers inclusive. To ensure everyone gets their reply, I will strictly enforce the time limits. Mr. Kenneth Leung. Chairman, I need to declare an interest. I'm a member of a clansman association. I'm pleased to see that this proposal is being tabled. For a long time, we have seen that clansmen associations have played a key role in fostering Hong Kong's development. This scheme is an opportunity for clansmen's bodies to organize more hometown-related events. I believe this will be welcomed by many members. Now, some questions for the government. There are different cultures involved. There is intangible cultural heritage. Bazaars, marketplaces were held. People would go to those events. So are there resources under this scheme for different clansmen organizations to jointly organize bazaars? This promotion scheme also marks a first. The government mentioned there would be promotion publicity. Can we have more specifics on this? Will there be extra time for clansmen associations to apply for the scheme? Will there be different ways to let the clansmen associations know the scheme and will the associations be given guidelines on how to apply for the scheme? So there are 2 questions: one, joint event, and second, publicity. We want to allow as much flexibility as possible. That's our principle. As I said in my opening remarks, it's about meeting the objectives, and that is promoting hometown culture, preserving such culture, bringing together fellow townsmen, fostering exchanges between hometowns and Hong Kong. Some clansmen associations may see benefit in jointly organizing events. We will not reject that, but it depends on the content and the creativity of a scheme. As I said, this week, our team will organize briefing sessions. The Home Affairs Department has been in touch with different clansmen associations. We have worked together on previous occasions. Our colleagues has been and will be in touch with clansmen's bodies to tell them about the scheme and invite invitations in line with our objective. Any follow-up questions? No. Ms. Connie Lam, thank you. I need to declare that I am a member of several townsmen's associations in different capacities. I'm a patriot. I support this scheme about townsmen associations. Many families in Hong Kong were immigrants several generations back. I myself is of Hakka origins. In Sai Kung and Clearwater Bay, there are also many people of Hakka origins. What more will be done to promote the Hakka culture? I am a big fan of Hakka snacks. When I go to Sai Kung, I buy different kinds of Hakka snacks. It's important to keep such tradition alive. We have seen food fairs. At Lam Chun, there was such a food fair. How do we keep alive such traditional culture so that future generations will learn about this Hakka culture? This scheme is an incentive scheme. How can we measure the success of the scheme to ensure the sustainability and results of the scheme? We are result-driven after all. What are some ways we can do better? What are some issues anticipated down the road? This scheme is a 3-year scheme. How can we ensure that over the 3 years, the different townsmen associations can promote hometown culture and also have their own resources to keep running their own platforms? Say the Shandong Association or other associations. They have their own merchandise on sale, whether it's Shandong or Hakka. Clansmen's associations can keep playing a role for the next 3 decades or 3 centuries. Funding is involved. So we need to monitor the use of such funding. Openness and transparency matter. And we need to make sure the public money is well spent.
Thank you, Chairman. Undersecretary. Thank you, Member. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for asking about the use of the funding. That is to ensure that it is used well. In our funding, auditing is also included. So an audit report is required for all schemes. The funding also covers auditing. We've set aside $30 million for 3 years. That is, we earmark $10 million per year. 1 month after receiving the proposals, we make assessments. The target of different schemes vary. They have different age brackets, different audience. For example, we also take into account whether the activities are innovative, whether they are in line with our objective, what is the reach. We consider these factors. That is, we assess the KPI of all schemes one by one. Please allow the administration sufficient time to respond to your questions. Mr. Benson Luk, I have to declare I have a capacity in a Klansman association, but I don't take part in the actual operation of the association. I support the Klansman culture promotion scheme as well. In the epidemic, we can see the work and the function of the Klansman associations. We recognize the work of these Klansmen associations, and they warrant our greater support. We can unite Klansmen. We can also allow youngsters to have a better understanding of our hometowns. I have 4 questions, and I'd like to ask the administration. 1. On funding and resources. It's important for the administration to let us know the assessment criteria in relation to funding. Who will be the one approving the fund? Is it by the administration? Each scheme up to $200,000, 3 schemes in total. What if the applicant separates an activity, that is to break it down into 3 different days? Do you allow such flexibility? Will the scheme be given $600,000 of funding then? As the Undersecretary said, $10 million for 1 year and $30 million for 3 months. If there's oversubscription, do you have any fallback plan? What if there are too many applicants? I believe the Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme will be very much well received. Can the administration allow all Klansman associations to have at least 1 activity per year? Klansman associations are getting more and more important in the community. 4 questions from me. Undersecretary. Thank you, Mr. Benson Lok. The purpose of the scheme is to allow different Klansman associations to hold different activities, but I need to stress a point. They are working on their own activities. That is to promote hometown culture, to forge cohesion among Klansmen, and how to encourage exchanges between Hong Kong and different hometowns. The Hong Kong government recognizes and supports the work of Klansmen associations. It also shows the administration's participation. In the long run, the development of Klansmen associations requires to consider efforts among the government, the business, as well as the community. We need to work together to make this happen. Regarding the funding, we've drawn some reference. In the past, on an irregular basis, we sponsor Klansmen associations to hold activities. A total of 260 activities have been sponsored or subsidized, totaling $26 million. As we set out in the papers, we want to retain flexibility. If the scale of some activities is a little bit different, we can handle these cases on a case-by-case basis. But of course, you can ask $200,000 to hold activities, but I believe some Klansmen associations will use the fund as part of the expenses, and it also shows the recognition of the administration. Next, Professor Lau. Thank you, Chairman. It should be written in history. In Hong Kong, the culture of Klansmen started in 1840s. They supported each other. They lived harmoniously in Hong Kong. They supported the Hong Kong society all the way from back then to today. I'm pleased to see that the administration promotes Klansman culture with the Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme. I have to declare, I also have different honorary positions in clansmen associations. Not all people in Hong Kong know where they are from or which hometown they are from. If this scheme only caters to the need of the existing clansmen associations, what about those who are not yet members of any clansmen associations? How will young people know which clansmen associations they belong to? Are they only attracted to any dumplings, any Hakka dumplings that associations offer? Back then, I asked the secretary about the issue of nationality, for example, in the handbook of students. There wasn't any consensus back then. When the HYAB launches this Klansman culture promotion scheme, we do need to give it some thought. We are not just going to support Klansman associations that we have right now. We also need to help them expand so that the younger generations will know where they're from, which hometown they're from, and so on. We need to do this for our younger generations in society. Undersecretary. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Professor Lau. Your questions enrich our understanding of the history of Klansmen associations. Just how you mentioned, it started in 1840. Well, not just foreign tourists are interested in in-depth travel. After I've joined the HYAB, before I joined the administration, I also took part in different Klansmen associations. Klansmen associations have their own special features. That is, they have different characteristics of different hometowns. We don't need to specify our own native place, but we need to let the younger generations see the diversity of the Chinese culture. This is important. In relation to native places, as Professor Lau mentioned just now, parents may have different native places. For example, I'm from Guangdong, Shuntak, whereas my wife is from Hakka. I want to let my children know more about the culture of Shuntak and Hakka. Next, Mr. Chen Yong. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Undersecretary. It's impossible to cover all the history of the Chinese culture in just this meeting. We follow our father's surname. I'm also in some Klansmen associations. I greatly support the Klansmen culture promotion scheme. There should be increases in the funding of this scheme. It's the 27th anniversary of the Hong Kong SAR and the 75th anniversary of the country. The Chinese culture is inextricably linked. Can we keep the theme of the scheme in line with the 27th anniversary of the Hong Kong SAR government and the 75th anniversary of the country? This can help you save funding or further expenses. This can be an all-inclusive scheme. It can be all in one. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your comments and questions. First of all, on the anniversary of our nation, we welcome this suggestion. There is great integration between this and what we have said just now. I thank Mr. Chen for your view. As I mentioned just now, $30 million for 3 years. That is $10 million for each year. Of course, we'll also work hand in hand with Klansmen associations. We'll maintain a close dialogue. We'll make sure that the resources are well used. In different cases, we will also review different cases as appropriate. Next, Ms. Nixie Lam. Thank you, Chairman. I thank the Secretary for walking us through the Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme. Just now, Professor Lau made a suggestion, and I think it is indeed a good one. I have a more complicated family background. My parents come from different places, they have different backgrounds, but all of us today are in Hong Kong. When I engage assistants, I also ask them where they're from. Well, they don't know. They only know which cities they frequently travel to. I remember I'm from Fukien because it's written in my student handbook. What about the application procedures? Regarding the smaller scale Klansmen associations, they have limited manpower. Probably just 1 to 2 staff members deal with clerical work. Some of them are even volunteers. So it's difficult to handle more complicated procedures, or they simply don't apply for funding from the government. Is there any way we can help them so that we can make it easier for them to apply for government funding? We had none, but now we do have some. Can we hold briefing sessions to brief interested applicants on the application procedures? How should they submit their financial reports? We can give them more support to help them make applications. Undersecretary, thank you, Ms. Nixie Lam. Regarding application procedures, thank you for showing concern.
Ms. Nixie Lam helped with the applications for many youth exchange programs. Applicants run into all kinds of issues. The Home Affairs Department has done a good job because we will be doing a briefing session, and that will be hosted by the HAD. There will be a dedicated hotline. There will be dedicated staff helping Klansmen associations with the applications. That way, the Klansmen groups will not be put off by the cumbersome application procedure. Mr. Rock Chen. I'm also the president of a Klansmen association. Now, I want to clarify the rules. Klansmen associations come with a structure. There's an overarching body, and then there are branches beneath the general body. Say the general body wants to host an event. The general body may work with the local branches or local chapters. So the question is, apart from the general body, the headquarters, if you will, team up with the local branches in filing an application. Now, about the platform for Klansmen bodies to talk to the HAD, funding is one question for Klansmen groups. Venues are also another issue. So apart from help with the applications, can the HAD also help with finding venues. Can that help also be given on the platform? Undersecretary, thank you. As I said in my previous remarks, we want to allow flexibility. Clansmen bodies come with general bodies or headquarters, and then they also have local branches. We first have to look at the applications, how relevant those applications are to the objective of our scheme. We allow flexibility in our consideration of proposals. But we have only finite resources, so we need to strike a balance. That means we want to allow many different clansmen bodies to hold events instead of concentrating all the resources in just a handful of bodies. For venues, events have taken place at different venues. There are government venues and venues under private ownership. On government venues, different clansmen bodies can coordinate among themselves the usage of such venues. When needed, the government can also help coordinate the work. As I said, we work closely with clansmen bodies so that the events to be held are in line with our objective. Ms. Jovi Chen. Speaker is not speaking to a microphone. Apparently, the speaker's microphone is not on. Apologies, the speaker's microphone is apparently not on. The interpreter cannot hear the speaker. The speaker is not coming through. The speaker is not coming through. Apparently, the speaker's microphone is not switched on. The interpreter cannot hear the speaker. Apologies. The speaker is apparently not coming through. It seems that the microphone is not switched on. The HAD set aside $10 million through a scheme in the year 2023 to 24. And that scheme looks similar to the current scheme here. And for this scheme, the annual funding cap is $10 million as well. So we still worry that fewer clansmen associations can qualify for this scheme. We need to ensure equal access to funding schemes after all. Now, I see different key performance indicators for our next item for discussion. So coming back to the current item, when we have more than 260 applications, what will we do? Can we have more details on that? Undersecretary, there were two questions. One, dedicated funding, and second, key performance indicators. This scheme involves dedicated funding. As I said earlier, we used to have haphazard initiatives. We would give funding on a piecemeal approach. But with this scheme, starting from the current financial year, we will set aside $10 million for application from clansmen bodies. So there's a different nature here. And there's also more money. For each event, the funding cap is $200,000, up from $100,000. Now on the key performance indicators for the events. We will make sure each event to be held will meet at least one of our goals, that is promoting hometown culture, keeping alive traditions, fostering exchanges between hometown and Hong Kong, and bringing together the clansmen in Hong Kong. These goals matter to us. We want to grant the funding to different clansmen bodies each year, but we cannot guarantee that we will have more than 260 events. We need to get started first. As Mr. Rock Chen was saying, you may have a very large clansman body working with its local branches. So we have to look at the applications on a case-by-case basis. We will update electrical panels from time to time on the progress of these schemes. That is the applications. Now it's my turn. I support this scheme to support clansmen bodies in promoting hometown culture and fostering exchanges. For the grassroots, clansmen associations can help organize people that can help gather support and rally support for the government's policies. Some clansmen bodies have a long history, but there are also emerging clansmen bodies. There are different kinds of clansmen bodies, and they are made up of different kinds of members. Some are here after pursuing studies in Hong Kong. Others come here under talent admission schemes. Still others come to Hong Kong from overseas, and then we also have new immigrants. So we have different kinds of members for clansmen associations. If we get things right with the scheme about clansmen associations, we can promote the integration of new immigrants in the local community. We can also encourage a sense of belonging. Can we have initiatives that work like the counseling office at universities, or like the new home association? Can we have services for people that come in under the talent admission schemes? Or can we have services through Invest Hong Kong? Can we get different bodies, universities, counseling offices, the government, Invest Hong Kong, reach out to clansmen associations and establish a line of communication and help these bodies build up their networks? Thank you, Chairman. Not all clansmen bodies get their information from the government. People come to Hong Kong for studies or for work. Some clansmen bodies have got in touch with those people. Youth bodies have also got in touch with those people. So those who come here for work and studies join the clansmen associations. I can think of one example, the Jiangsu Clansmen Association has reached out to new arrivals of Jiangsu origins. The chairperson of the youth committee of the Jiangsu Klansmen Association is also a new arrival. In that Klansmen Association, there are members who belong to the older generation of people from Jiangsu and also a new generation. Those people interact. We want to encourage Klansmen associations to hold events and bring together fellow townsmen, especially new arrivals in Hong Kong, so that these new arrivals can mingle with people from the same hometown. That's a better approach than the government sharing all those details. I have other commitments in a moment, so Ms. Jovi Chen, the deputy chairperson, will chair the meeting in a moment. Ms. Chen Hoi-yan. I have a question about the funding level. I need to declare an interest. I am with some Klansmen associations myself. This scheme is for 3 years, 30 million over 3 years, $110 million for each year, $200,000 per event. When you do the math, there may be just 50 events each year. When some events cost more than $200,000, 50 events doesn't sound like a lot. Does the government agree that 50 events a year is not a lot? Now, I turn to the venue. Klansmen associations struggle to find venues for their events. There are LCSD facilities, but there are also facilities at government schools over weekends. So can we give Klansmen associations more options in terms of venues? The government told us it wanted to see diverse events. So will there be different kinds of events under the funding scheme? Say, we have educational events or activities, study groups, for example. And then we can also have tourism-related activities. This scheme is a good idea because this scheme will help bring together fellow townsmen. We can also help tell good stories of our country. Tourists come to Hong Kong not just for shopping here. They may want to try out different kinds of local culture from different hometowns. So how can we have diversity in the events? We need more than just food fairs from different places. How can the government achieve diversity in the events?
Undersecretary. Thank you, member. When we take a look at the funding of previous activities, on average, the amount was $100,000. This time around, we are going to increase the amount of funding. Like Mr. Wok Chen said, the more activities, the better. It's important to forge cohesion between Hong Kong and different hometowns, so we approve the funding based on our goal. We won't say 50 is a large number or not. We want to achieve results. Regarding venues, we've already noted members' views. Apart from coordinating with the LCSD, we also use community halls to hold some activities. Some Klansmen associations may want to use some venues of their choice. We try our best to coordinate for them. For example, for some special festivals, they use some community halls or facilities. The result was quite good. We'll work hand in hand with clansmen associations and we'll try our best to provide assistance regarding diversity is exactly what we have in mind. We want to have innovative and diverse activities so that we can promote Klansman culture in different ways. Next, Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Deputy Chair. I'm a Vice President of a Klansman Associations of Guangdong. I support the Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme and I have some questions for the administration. In the past, has the HAD collaborated with some Klansman associations to hold activities? If yes, can you let us know the details? Are there any special goals of the promotion scheme? How can you attract Klansman associations to hold more diversified or diverse activities in the future? Thank you, Deputy Chair. Thank you, Dr. Johnny Ng. In the past, as members mentioned, we have a scheme there are also different schemes promoting intangible culture. There are night shows showcasing elements of ethnic minorities, and there are also book fairs and so on. After the policy address in 2022, we right away held a total of 5 fairs. Many Klansman associations also took part in it. In the fun fairs of Happy Hong Kong, many Klansman associations also took part in these fairs. Some associations even brought their gourmet culture or products from their own hometowns to Hong Kong. They've been very well received. Right before lunch, the specialty products had already been sold out. I believe all Klansman associations also have their own appeal. Through different activities, they can promote their culture and appeal to a wider population in Hong Kong. Like Ms. Jofi Chen mentioned, when some tourists come to Hong Kong, it's good that they can appreciate the special Klansman culture or hometown culture. Next, Dr. So Chang Wang. Thank you, Deputy Chair. I'm a president of Foshan Klansman Association. I'm glad to see the support from the HYAB. I'm touched and I'm grateful to the HYAB for its support for the Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme. But at a macro level, $10 million for the administration to spend in 1 year is not a small sum of money. From 2018 to now, 6 years in total, you spent a total of $26 million. Well, I don't think many people in Hong Kong are actually aware of the fact that you have given quite some money to Klansman associations to hold activities. As for the application and disbursement of the funding, there are many requirements. What goals you need to achieve with this amount of $10 million? For example, you want to hold or organize high-quality activities, of course, you'll need large groups to support you. Under Secretary, you want clansmen associations to forge cohesion between Hong Kong and hometowns. For instance, in Shun Tak, in some towns, when the clansmen mingle with one another, there's bound to be great cohesion among the townsmen. Let's not talk about reputation. That's of course necessary. Regarding the track record, experience, they may not be as easily met. So I think it'd be a better idea to give clansmen associations clearer guidelines. That is, for example, lion dance, a meal together, Chinese opera, and so on. You have your list. That is a positive list and a negative list. And when you approve the projects, you can also use the positive list to greenlight the projects. You mentioned scale, track record, of course. Larger groups will have good reputation and track record, but $100,000 or $200,000 is not going to help them much. So if you can provide a list, clansmen associations can work according to your requirements. That is, when they can hold activities according to your requirements, that will be better. Under Secretary, there's still time for this agenda item. Dr. So is the last member to speak, so you have 5 minutes to respond to Dr. So. Thank you, Dr. So, for your suggestions. Regarding the amount of $10 million, that is the funding. As I mentioned in the introduction, I also said that the Hong Kong SAR government has noticed the clansmen forced cohesion between Hong Kong and different hometowns based on the principle of affection for country, for Hong Kong, and for hometowns. The main goal of the administration is to provide funding, subsidies, to let society know that the Hong Kong SAR government recognizes the activities held by clansmen associations as well as their development direction. More often than not, we can see that the activities held by large groups may involve a larger amount of money. We are not saying that the administration can bear the full cost, but then the government can sponsor part of the cost. Clansmen associations should have collaboration among the government, business sector, as well as the community. That's how they can promote their hometown culture. Just now, Dr. So mentioned how we approve the funding as well as our principle or goal. I mentioned just now promoting the development of Hong Kong, forging cohesion between Hong Kong and hometowns, as well as fostering the spirit of hometown and the hometown culture. That is exactly our goal. We want to keep an open mind to enable clansmen associations to think out of the box, to be innovative. That's what we want. We don't want to draw up a positive list and a negative list. That may not be exhaustive. In exchanges among youngsters, we want to give them space. We want to give them room. Maybe they can give us prizes. That's how we encourage creativity. So we can use the amount of $10 million to the fullest. This is our common goal. Thank you, Undersecretary. Just now, 13 members have spoken, and all of the members support the Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme. There are good suggestions on implementation details. I hope the administration will take into account member suggestions, for example, those on venues, application procedures, and so on. The Undersecretary also mentioned comparing with the Know Your Homeland Klansman Association subsidy scheme. There will be enhancement in quality. I look forward to your report in due course. That's the end of this agenda item. Thank you. Thank you, members. Thank you, administration. Let us turn to the next agenda item, promotion of Chinese culture. Let us invite the administration to join us. Mr. Raislin Lau will join us with his team. Members who'd like to speak, please press the request to speak button.
Seven members are lining up to speak. I will read out their names: Ms. Connie Lam, Ms. Nixie Lam, Dr. Johnny Ng, Ms. Maggie Chen, Mr. Kenneth Falk, Ms. Chen Hao-yan, followed by me. 5 minutes for each member, questions and answers inclusive. The government will walk us through the paper. Undersecretary. Madam Chair, I will say a few words and then my colleague will walk us through the slides. President Xi Jinping, and that is General Secretary Xi Jinping, pointed out in the 20th Party Congress report that we should stay confident in our history and culture and also keep our cultural industries flourishing. We need to extend the reach and appeal of Chinese civilization, tell good stories of China. The HASL government has been doing its work to promote Chinese culture, and that's our objective. The 2023 policy address proposes the establishment of a Chinese Culture Promotion Office, or CCPO, under the Leisure and Cultural Services Department. This office will be tasked with planning programs, exchange activities, and collaborative projects to promote Chinese culture, history, advocate Chinese culture, and promote patriotic education to enhance people's cultural confidence and sense of nationhood and national identity. The office will be set up in April, but the briefing sessions for principals started on the 14th of March. The CCPO will be under the LCSD. The office will leverage the resources on Chinese culture and history. The office will curate and organize programs to present the charm of Chinese culture. The CCPO will work closely with the Education Bureau on preparing teaching and learning materials for teachers and students on Chinese culture. The CCPO will also start organizing the annual Chinese Culture Festival starting from this year. The CCPO will get in touch with different departments and also work on overseas promotion. The CCPO will also work with the tourism sector to promote tourism through cultural activities and promote culture through tourism. The CCPO will also establish a dedicated museum to showcase the achievements and developments of our country. Block 57 of the Whitfield Barracks of Kowloon Park will be used as the museum to showcase our country's achievements and development. And we will We are also and that's the experience center. As for the museum, we are still identifying the site for the museum. In the first half of this year, we will consult electrical and other stakeholders on the proposal. The CCPO will work with different stakeholders and leverage resources in curating diversified programs to promote Chinese culture. My colleague, Mr. Ng, the museum director of the Museum of History, will tell us more about the work of the CCPO. Good afternoon, members. The CCPO will leverage the resources on Chinese culture under the LCSD. This means resources in film archives, libraries, museums, and other areas. We're trying to have cross-disciplinary programs and activities to promote Chinese culture. There will be exhibitions, learning and teaching series of teachers, community series, the Chinese Culture Festival, and online series. One highlight is the General History of China series. To learn about Chinese culture, we need to start with Chinese history. The CCPO will launch the General History of China series. Each year, we will have exhibitions on different dynasties. There will be different ancillary events from all the way from the Xia, the Shang, the Zhou dynasties to modern China. This series will give people a full understanding of China's history. The first exhibition will start next week, and that is starting from the earliest dynasties. It's about the Xia, the Shang, the Zhou dynasties. There will be more than 150 artifacts on the society, the politics, and customs of the three early dynasties. There will also be ancillary or fringe activities. There will be guided tours for schools. At the venues of exhibitions, there will be interactive education sessions. There will be sessions for students to help them understand these three early dynasties and help them see the connections between those dynasties and the present. We will create teaching packs for students. There will be training for teachers, study tours as well. This is to give teachers a better understanding of history and aid their teaching. After the exhibitions, we will make good use of the resources. This means we will do roving exhibitions at different schools. There will be workshops at schools to bring those events to the community. Apart from the General History of China series, we have different exhibitions on Chinese culture. In September, we will do the exhibition on the 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. We will approach our country's development and achievements through different perspectives, history, science, etc. We will also have the Moon Chu collection of early Chinese photography. We'll show people photos of early modern China. Currently, we're doing an exhibition on Louis Cha or Jin Yong. We will also have the intangible cultural heritage of the Greater Bay Area exhibition. These are different ways to promote Chinese culture. On art, we're doing the Wu Guanzhong series between black and white. We will also have an exhibition on true likeness, the art and collection of Jin Guanlou. These are also exhibitions on Chinese culture. Teachers and schools will play a key role in promoting Chinese culture. So on March 14th, we started the first event, and that is a learning and teaching series. We invited principals to the event. We promoted to schools the training for teachers and also learning activities. Soon, we will work with the Education Bureau on a Chinese history and culture train the trainers workshop. We will use the LCSD's resources. This will be a multidisciplinary approach. We will look at the war of resistance against Japanese invaders, intangible cultural heritage, conservation of artifacts. We will help teachers understand Chinese history through a variety of ways. Now, field visits also mattered. We will have study visits for teachers to visit the different sites of heritage and artifacts of different dynasties. This is to enrich teachers' knowledge so that teachers can teach the history in a multi-dimensional way to students. We will have workshops, including this one on unveiling history. We will use the collections and replicas of museum collections. We take those items to schools so that students can see the artifact up close. In 2025, we will have a workshop on Lingnan culture. We will select items related to Hong Kong and Lingnan culture. We will take those items to schools for students to learn about the continuity and the shared features of Hong Kong and Lingnan culture. We will also invite teachers and students to museums for workshops. This is a new idea. Again, we will use the expertise available at the museums on areas like conservation. We will help teachers understand Chinese history through artifacts so that we are teaching Chinese history through artifacts. We will do film screenings. There will be thematic themes to show students about the culture and traditional values of the Greater Bay Area. Again, we will use the LCSD's resources. We have thematic parks in Hong Kong, rich in Chinese culture, such as the Kowloon Walled City Park. This can show people the government offices of the Qing Dynasty. We also have the Han Garden of the Li Cheng Oak. This is to help students and teachers learn about the architecture and history of different dynasties, even when they are taking a walk in different parks. There will be also the community series. Across districts, we have libraries. We will do talks on Chinese classics. This is to help the public learn about Chinese culture. We will also have poetry writing competitions to give people a better idea of Chinese literary classics. We will have an office on intangible cultural heritage. We will have the community culture ambassador scheme. There are different field visits to promote Chinese culture to the community through different ways. Technology is everywhere now, so we will also have an online series. We have the edutainment channel on the LCSD's channel. There are different aspects of Chinese culture, museums, libraries, performance art. We will have videos showcasing literature and history. We have the Literature 101 series. We do innovation in our videos to discuss the grand records of the historian, the analects, and the 36 strategies. That's a light-hearted way to showcase Chinese history, and it's also information on demand. We will also have information on Chinese instruments. We want to give people a rich online resource about Chinese history. The CCPO will also hold annual Chinese culture festivals. This year, the festival will be held from June to September. This is to generate interest in Chinese culture. We have 100 sessions with an attendance of over 100,000 visitors. As part of the Chinese Culture Festival, we will have specific events for students and the disadvantaged. We want to give them free admission so that they can learn about the essence of Chinese culture. Our key performance indicators are to have a thematic exhibition on our country's development and achievements each year. Each year, we will have more than 50 activities, over 200 sessions on Chinese culture with an attendance of over 700,000 people each year. We will have a museum showcasing our country's development and achievements that will cover our country's science, economy, and other areas of development. We will have a Chinese culture experience center. This will be in Kowloon. This will be a community platform offering different kinds of experiential activities. So this means presentation of intangible cultural heritage and also workshops. That's all from me for the presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Ng. The first to speak, Ms. Connie Lam. Thank you, Madam Chair. I support the upcoming work of the CCPO. In my involvement in district work, I have taken Hong Kong's teachers and students to visit the Shandong province for them to experience Chinese culture. Everyone can play a part in promoting Chinese culture. Patriotic education should be part of day-to-day education. In my old school, Puito Middle School, they use the metaverse in teaching Chinese culture. So for the CCPO, can we have greater use of technology? Or maybe this is a question for a fellow member, Dr. Johnny Ng. People at my old second alma mater take a great interest in learning Chinese history through technology. In the past, students were expected to memorize so many details. It was a lot of rote learning and it was boring. But young people these days expect a lively experience in learning about Chinese history. So I hope the CCPO can consider using technology. Now, let's also get creative. Can we let young people learn Chinese history through gaming? We need to do more on that. I visited Shandong a few times. I will also visit there again. The malls in Shandong are special. Shandong is the hometown of Confucius. In the Shandong Mall, you see the passages from the Analect. They have quotations from the Analects all over the mall. So in Hong Kong, for our community, can we adopt a similar model? The malls in Shandong offer a great design. It's a great idea. They can show you Chinese culture coming to life, and that's part of the building design in the malls in Shandong. Now, coming back in Hong Kong, we can put up display boards and we can set up games at Legislative Council's offices. LegCo members can help out. In Sai Kung and Sha Tin, I'm happy to help with exhibitions and games promoting Chinese culture. In the community, there are young families, middle-class families, families on a higher income. I'm happy to help out in promoting Chinese culture. Let's also go into private housing estates to promote Chinese culture. Let's get the promotion right to promote patriotism. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersecretary. Thank you, Deputy Chair. Thank you, Ms. Connie Lam. On leveraging technologies, we'll actively consider how we can leverage on technology to the fullest. We have featured technology elements in exhibitions to encourage interactions. For the exhibition that started last week, we also used artificial intelligence so that the public can also play a part in Wu Guangzhong's exhibition. The LCSD held an exhibition about science. There were games allowing the public to interact with the exhibitions. We are more than happy to discuss with DO so that we'll know how we can leverage on technologies, boards, and we can also work with different organizations and schools. We can work together to promote Chinese culture. Next, Ms. Nixie Lam. Thank you, Deputy Chair. The introduction was very clear. I support the setting up of the CCPO. As I can see, each year covers different dynasties. What if I missed a specific year or some specific dynasties? Can I go to your website to view the contents? Are the contents uploaded to your website? Well, I think these resources are indeed great. What about those for children that are younger? I tried searching for information online, but I didn't find much of information for younger children. Parents actually support the resources given to younger children. If we have a rich database, can we prepare versions for younger children? This can make better use of the resources. Regarding experience of new exhibitions, we went to Beijing with Dr. Johnny Ng. There was a great immersive experience, as if we were really in a war. There were panoramic LED screens, as if we were really in the battlefield. Can we do this? In the PowerPoint presentation, I saw that there were still boards in the exhibition. If we could catch the eyeball of secondary school students, for example, then we could impress them. If it is going to be a new place, can we leverage on advanced technologies? Regarding the promotion of Chinese culture in the anniversary of the Hong Kong Communist Party for 100 years, we led youngsters and other people to tell them stories of the history. Sadly, every year, there were seniors who passed away. Can we make use of oral history so that history can pass on from generations to generations? Many years ago, I went to Taiwan. Some seniors in Taiwan passed on the history from generations to generations through oral history. That was about comfort women, and I think we can do better in this regard. We have prepared information of different dynasties in the General History of China exhibition series. We won't let the resources go to waste. We will find ways to allow the public to access the exhibitions in the past. If resources allow, we will also prepare materials for people in different age brackets. This way, we can better promote Chinese culture. Regarding immersive experience, we'll definitely consider immersive experience. We'll try to incorporate the elements of immersive experience for members of the public to have better experience. For East River column, we did try oral history, and the record has been very well kept. For the Museum of Coastal Defense, after it is revamped, we'll give you a detailed introduction. Anything to add from the director? I completely go along with members. We do need to introduce Chinese culture in a lively manner. For example, using games, immersive experience. We'll consider all these options. Regarding younger children, apart from online resources, for example, for toddlers to learn about characters, we can introduce to toddlers traditional books and so on. So we can sow the seeds from a young age. We can incorporate these elements into the learning and teaching materials. Regarding East River Column, we have close liaison with them. In the Museum of Coastal Defense, we've been updating exhibitions. We've also been enriching the contents of the exhibitions. These will be our ongoing work. Well, I'm more than willing to buy the flashcards if the flashcards have the theme of Chinese culture. Next, Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Deputy Chair. I support the setting up of the CCPO. We can promote Chinese culture in Hong Kong. The CCPO will be under the LCSD, but the work will be cross-discipline. I'd like to know how different departments and bureaus can work together. How much more additional expenditure will be involved in promoting Chinese culture or to set up CCPO? The paper mentions a lot teaching and learning experience. I agree with training the trainers, like training teachers, but the paper is silent on university education. What strategies do you have? Does the administration have any more updates on choice of location for one specific project mentioned in the paper? Thank you, Deputy Chair. Thank you, Dr. Johnny Ng. As for the selection of location, we've been identifying suitable locations. I mean a location that is accessible to the general public so the visitors can go to the center easily. Regarding universities, we've been holding different activities with universities. Regarding cultural exchange work, we can work with university or tertiary educational institutions. They have vast resources and we can share the resources together in order to promote Chinese culture. Deputy Director, regarding cross-departmental collaboration, we work with the Education Bureau. We also work with the HYAB and we'll kick off coordination work soon. We will also work with mainland counterparts to see how we can promote Chinese culture to overseas places. Regarding resources, apart from the Chinese Culture Office, we have earmarked $77.8 million to promote Chinese culture and to set up CCPO. We will also spend the money on promoting Chinese culture through activities. Apart from that, for museums, performing arts, libraries, they will use existing resources to enrich the contents and promote Chinese culture. I'd like to know for the amount of $77.8 million. Well, that's regular. That's the operating expenditure for each year. Next, Ms. Maggie Chan, I'd like to ask about the Museum of Coastal Defense and East River Column. In paragraph 4 of the paper, it mentions using resources to promote Chinese culture, as well as using libraries and so on. In page 15 of the paper, for item 28 and 31 for East River Column, it mentions the activities in relation to their war against oppressive forces. There will be certificate of appreciation for the East River Column to be put in the Coastal Defense Museum. It reflects the demand from an association of the East River Column. They want to give certificates to a total of 150 martyrs. They want to display all these certificates or awards in the Museum of Coastal Defense. These veterans have been making contributions to the country and to Hong Kong. We shouldn't forget them. Given the strong demand, I hope that the administration will recognize the efforts of the 115 martyrs of the East River Kowloon as well as other veterans who have made contributions to Hong Kong. It's difficult to verify the identity of all the martyrs. That's what you'd say, I'm guessing. You've been saying so to our veterans. But as I guess, the reply from the veterans is that for the names of the 115 martyrs, on the 28th of October in 1998, there was a solemn ceremony held in Central. For these 150 martyrs, their names are already consolidated in list and they are put in Central in City Hall in Hong Kong. The youngest one is in his 80s. The sooner the better. I hope that you'll be able to show the recognition to the veterans or the martyrs. Or in the Museum of Coastal Defense, you should, in next to no time, recognize their efforts and send this message to them. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank Ms. Chen for her suggestion. We attach a great deal of importance to the effort of the Hong Kong Kowloon Independent Brigade of the East River Column during the War of Aggression or Resistance against the Japanese invaders. They helped keep our country safe. At the Museum of Coastal Defense, there is extensive discussion of the activities of the East River Column at the museum. Now, on the certificates of commendation for the veterans and veteran martyrs, I will take this message to the other departments. The certificates go beyond the scope of the current proposal. So other bureaus may need to consider the matter about certificate. Madam Chair, just one quick comment. Please don't say we will do this in the future. We have just have 20 or so veterans left. The youngest ones are in their 80s. Please don't kick the can down the road. You need to do this as soon as possible. At the Museum of Coastal Defense, you can do something. You can put a message there expressing gratitude to the East River Column. You don't have to make it a certificate of commendation. We can think about different ways to pay tribute to the East River Column at the Museum of Coastal Defense. These veterans contribute to so much to Hong Kong. We need to do something for them. But giving them a certificate of commendation may not be something for our bureau, but I will certainly take the message to the other departments. The annex says that in August and September, we will have an event on the War of Resistance. So can we incorporate the elements mentioned by Ms. Maggie Chen, that's certainly in your purview. Yes, absolutely. At the museum, we can find a way to pay tribute to the veterans, and we're open to suggestions. There's an electronic tribute system. We can pay tribute to the veterans from the War of Resistance electronically. And we can certainly think about different ways to pay tribute to those veterans. Mr. Kenneth Falk. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have many things to say. The Chinese Culture Promotion Office will be a new institution. I'm thinking about what this office will be able to do. As Dr. Johnny Ng said, the CCPO will be under the LCSD. The presentation looks very much like something from the LCSD. The LCSD does a good job in organizing events. But I see simply organizing events, and that's it. Can we go beyond that? The CCPO will be tasked with planning and organizing events, but the question is, how do we enable new possibilities through community resources? We need to create something new. We need to enable something new. The start is the tough part, of course. Now, we are supposed to be an East meets West center for cultural exchange. We need to help our cultural programs go global. We are also a bridge. There are different aspects of culture from the mainland. We need to team up with the mainland in going global. There are people who have told us there are great cultural programs from the mainland, but those programs struggle to find a venue in Hong Kong. Money is not the issue. The issue is the venue. Can the CCPO provide venues for great cultural programs from the mainland to go on display, to present themselves in Hong Kong and to the world? That's something to explore. Something also missing from the PowerPoint slides is to do research. We will commit vast resources to the CCPO. There will be all kinds of programs. People will take part in the programs. Do these programs enhance a sense of national identity? Gathering data on that will help the CCPO with its work. What's the result we're getting? The chief executive sticks to a result-oriented approach. We need to look beyond just the number of programs and the number of attendance. We cannot consider that a job done. We need to enhance the sense of national identity, and we need to team up with the mainland in going global in promoting Chinese culture. We need research on the results we're getting given the resources we're committing. Now I turn to technology. Just then, members suggested the use of gaming and animation in promoting Chinese culture. Let's learn from the mainland. At the 2 sessions last year, the National Data Authority was set up. The government's work generates a great amount of data. We're talking about ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, AI-generated images these days. We now have Sora for videos. Technology moves fast. For technology, we need a database. But AI these days is trained on data that are from the West. We need more materials from Chinese culture for the training of AI-enabled models. So let's work more closely with our country. The LCSD has many artifacts. We can show these artifacts to students at schools. Can we turn the artifacts into data so that the data can be used in different scenarios? We can reach maybe 100 schools with the data, with the virtual information, instead of just a few schools. I hope the CCPO can do that. Apart from organizing events, we need to pursue enablement. We need to make the data accessible to people who want to access the data. I have many things to say, but I decide not to take up any more of our time here, so thank you. Undersecretary, a response? I thank Mr. Falk for his comment. We agree with Mr. Falk in the direction. As the PowerPoint slides show, the CCPO is also after enablement. We will provide teachers with teaching materials. For people from all walks of life, we give them knowledge about Chinese culture. This is enablement. We build up a basis for people to dig deeper into the vast and profound Chinese culture. We also work with different parts of the mainland in promoting Chinese culture overseas. Of course, there's always room for us to do more now on venues. Hong Kong's performance venues are basically at capacity. Venues are booked up, there's keen demand. That's why in the chief executive's first policy address, he proposed a 10-year development blueprint for arts and cultural venues. We need more venues so that we can have more cultural programs. We've been helping different parts of the mainland to put on performances in Hong Kong. We have different series. The LCSD facilitated performances from mainland groups on longitudinal studies and the use of technology. We will consider those ideas as well. Of course, we also take our key performance indicators seriously. On tracking someone's development and understanding of Chinese culture, that will be challenging, but we can explore with tertiary institutions on how we can pursue such longitudinal studies. Ms. Chen Hoi-yan. Our country wants Hong Kong to develop into an East meets West center for cultural exchange. So we have this proposal about the Chinese culture promotion. We're going from a passive role into working actively on this area. But the slides show us conventional means, exhibitions, learning, and that's all. That sounds boring. Promoting Chinese culture is not unique to Hong Kong. Let's look at the rest of the Greater Bay Area. There are initiatives going on. Those initiatives are highly successful. I visited a place in Guangdong. There was a 1-hour show. That show presented 6,000 years of history that used 5-dimensional technology. There were images, audio. Children could see a horse running straight towards them. It was a very engaging experience. The slides show us exhibitions, but that's very passive. At the show in Guangdong, children found the experience very engaging. That show covered many years of history. Since we're using public money to set up the Chinese Culture Promotion Office, can we think outside the box? Can we have more engaging experiences? Having those exhibitions will not require a CCPO. You're simply putting different initiatives under the CCPO. There is nothing groundbreaking. The CCPO is supposed to plan and promote activities. How do we break out of the mold? How do we think outside the box? I invite the government to be more creative. The slides tell us about the sculptures of the Jin Yong characters. Without the TV series and films, those characters from the Jin Yong martial arts fantasy stories would not have been household names. So for the CCPO, I know you're promoting Chinese culture, but you need to be creative with the means you can learn from our own country. Undersecretary, thank you. We agree with Ms. Chen. We are thinking about ways to improve the quality of our activities. We want to give people different experiences. We want to make Chinese culture accessible to people. So one initiative is the Chinese Culture Experience Center to be set up in Kowloon Park. At that center, there will be more interactive elements. There will be greater use of technology. There will be creative ways for people to experience Chinese culture. Promoting Chinese culture is a monumental undertaking. This will require input from many people. We will need people from not just the CCPO. It will require a concerted effort from more people. So we're trying to be an enabler. We try to get the community stakeholders involved. We have the Mega Arts and Culture Initiative. At different performances, we try to incorporate elements of Chinese culture. We encourage the industries and the community to get involved as a whole. Mr. Vincent Cheng. Undersecretary, I support the establishment of the CCPO, but I want to find out more about three areas. First, the 75th anniversary of the founding of the PRC. This will be a major occasion. We want people to learn more about Chinese culture in our country's development. At the Museum of History and the Science Museum, there will be exhibitions on our country. Can we have more details? Would there be more exhibition items to show people our country's achievements and development? That's the first question. The Kunqu from Beijing is a success, so I support having more high-quality cultural programs in Hong Kong. We can bring in more art groups from the mainland, such as those from Beijing. Let's bring in more cultural programs from the mainland. We also need to make the programs accessible. We want to make Chinese culture accessible to the general public. The LCSD did a good job in many different events, such as Art March. Many events are going on, giving out ice cream. Those initiatives remind people about the events we're doing. Yesterday, we also had another initiative. These measures remind people of everything people can find in Chinese culture. The recent exhibition on Jin Yong is also another good example. So there's tea, martial arts. We can have different themes of Chinese culture. We can have a different theme each year. So those are my questions.
Undersecretary, I'll invite the director to take the questions. Regarding 75A, I'll ask Mr. Ng, Museum Director, to take this question. Regarding how we can promote Chinese culture in a more systematic manner, the CCPO is under the LCSD, so we'll coordinate the existing work, and we will also connect different tasks. There are also thematic work, such as allowing more mainland performance groups to come to Hong Kong to stage performances. Will provide more venues to mainland performing groups so that they will have venues to stage performances in Hong Kong. Starting from this year, we will put in place a focus city. This year, we will introduce Shanghai. There are many different provinces and municipalities in China. We do want to have a clearer focus every year, so we'll use a focus city approach. This year, it's Shanghai. Just now, we also talked about the general history of China exhibition series. We used dynasties as a theme. There are many different elements and we connect all of them together. Regarding the exhibition of 75A, I'll ask my colleagues to respond. The Science Museum and the Museum of History will work together. Mr. Ng, the exhibition combines the efforts of the Hong Kong Museum of History and the Hong Kong Science Museum. From the perspective of tourism, we elaborate on the development of our country. The Hong Kong Science Museum will also touch upon the new technological advancement of the country. We'll focus on the development of science and tourism, and we'll also connect them to our everyday life. We will work with the newspaper organizations to hold these exhibitions. There are fringe exhibitions and activities. For example, there are talks, tours, to deepen the public's understanding of the achievement of our country. Next, Mr. LUK Chung-hung. Thank you, Deputy Chair. I support policies on promoting Chinese culture. There's a need to set up the CCPO. We need an office to promote Chinese culture. But on the location of the Chinese Culture Experience Center, I can't say it's good or bad. It's challenging anyway. The structure is a Western one. It has the elements of the Victorian era. However, we're going to put a lot of Chinese culture elements into this Western building. In a sense, you can say that we are having both Chinese and Western culture. It's like a melting pot. But it's actually challenging when we need to put Chinese cultural elements into a Western building. Just now, Mr. Kenneth Fogg also mentioned the positioning of the CCPO. All along, the LCSD has been holding a lot of activities on the collaboration with different stakeholders. You mentioned a partnership platform, but that is all about organizing activities. When it comes to promoting Chinese culture, it's highly marketized. That is, the commercial sector takes part in it. There's a program in the mainland. It features old lyrics. It rearranges some old songs. And it also turns some older clothes into modern ones. There are some projects that creators would like to work on, but without support, it's neither here nor there. Can the CCPO actually provide consultant services of culture. For example, if I'd like to design a game about the East River column, can you give us information about the history back then so that the history, I mean the background or the backdrop of the game will be in line with history? Next up, we have the issue with locations, I mean the venues. If we can hold the activities in places steeped in history, that will be beneficial. For example, there are different museums scattered throughout Hong Kong. They are full of different special features, characteristics. If we can hold music concerts in these places such as Peng Shan Heritage Trail, they mesh well with one another. If some organizations would like to rent venues, Hong Kong has the advantage of the Cantonese culture. Many people from the north of the country would like to sing Cantonese song as well. Can we work more on this front, Undersecretary? Thank you, Deputy Chair. I agree with Mr. Luk regarding the Chinese Cultural Experience Center. The building is kind of Western, but Hong Kong is a melting pot of Chinese and Western cultures. The administration will rise to the challenge. We'll build a good Chinese Culture Experience Center on the partnership platform. As Mr. Luk mentioned, we need to have the participation of more enterprises. We need to engage market forces. The promotion of Chinese culture is a very significant task. We simply can't rely on CCPO alone. We need to engage the public in order to take forward this project. For example, Jinrong's productions, they are rich in Chinese cultural elements, with their productions being showcased in different channels. Chinese cultural elements are spread throughout the world. If organizations require support with venues, we'll try to work with organizations and we can provide as many resources as practicable. That is to make it convenient for the partners to organize activities. Just now, Mr. Luk also mentioned games and popular music or canto pop. As I mentioned just now, we are willing to, as far as practicable, provide resources and support to creators. There are many online resources. Even if they do not have to ask the LCSD in person, they will also have a basic database in which there are resources for them to plan their work. Of course, if need be, the LCSD is more than willing to collaborate with them, to talk with them, to see how they can provide, to see how the LCSD can provide assistance. Last, myself, I expect that the CCPO will at least play 5 roles: history, education, tourism, entertainment, and so on. The paper mentions publicity in paragraphs 33 and 34. But I think there should be more about publicity. I believe the CCPO can make greater contributions to cultural industries. Members mention entertainment. That is how to make it more riveting for for members of the public and how we can make it attractive for overseas tourists. The FTU in February this year submitted a study to the government. Many are from the perspective of the colonial dates of the UK. For example, in modern history, it isn't set out in museums. For example, how local residents fought against UK invasion. That is how the indigenous villagers in Hong Kong fought against them. It wasn't mentioned. It didn't mention the contributions or the efforts of the Hong Kong Kowloon Independent Brigade of the East River Column either. I'd like to preserve more cultural characteristics of Hong Kong. We can also incorporate more tourism elements. For example, how Dongjiang Water solved the water problem facing Hong Kong back then. We rely on our country for the supply of basic foodstuffs. That shows the great importance attached to us by the country. That can also enhance our nationhood and our national identity. Just now, Mr. Luk also asked about Canton Pop. Paragraph 4 of the papers touched upon movies, but it is silent on music. In half a century recently, Canton Pop has been gaining in currency. It's been very popular. We should add more new elements instead of consolidating existing resources. Undersecretary. Thank you, Deputy Chair. Your comments and views are very important. But I'd like to say that the Chinese culture is very diverse. It has a long history and is very wide in breadth. It's not easy to promote Chinese culture. No matter how we promote Chinese culture and our work, it's never enough. We can always do better. We also need more partners in order to take forward the project well. As I mentioned, the CCPO can provide basic resources and can also encourage members of the public to take part in activities held by the CCPO. But more importantly, we can also enable society, all walks of life, different organizations to take part in this project. We can also provide sufficient and appropriate support. Deputy Chair, you mentioned Canton Pop just now. Chinese culture is actually very wide in breadth. It does not mean that we do not attach importance to it. We will try to promote Chinese culture in different areas. We'd like to introduce different aspects of Chinese culture to members of the public. We'd like to build a more complete database to provide materials for creators to further promote our high-quality Chinese culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersecretary. Members have spoken in support of the CCPO. We hope the CCPO can contribute to our role as an East meets West Center for Cultural Exchange. We thank the Undersecretary and his team for explaining the proposal to us. 9 members have spoken. That's all for this item. Now, any other business? No other business? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.